And we are good to go. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Uh, I was a little radio silent on the channel, which possibly would be a little worrying, considering I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta make sure I'm all right and everything. Uh, after this, but I'm all right. I'm actually doing great. Can properly hear and everything. I'm totally good. But welcome back to another Arc 5 reaction of ReZero, all that sort of jazz. I am excited for the episode today. I am also realizing that I forgot because I have noise suppression. It doesn't pick up me kind of slamming on the desk overall. Um, but I'm excited for today's episode because it is covering quite the painful moment in there, but also it's going a lot farther than I expected. But it makes sense. Um, because at the very least, I know for a fact it goes to Roy, right? I saw a preview image for like, oh yeah, here's the times when it's airing, that sort of stuff. Um, but said image had Roy on it, so I know it's going up to where Roy is, which is very impressive overall for how much that is covering. I did see it actually has an ending this time because I just kind of scrolled over when I was trying to get the recording started. Um, so kind of a little shocking to see that much being covered while also having an ending in there, but it makes sense because I did look at it because I have the book beside me. Brother's been reading it and all that, same as usual. Um, and it makes sense because out of what's left and everything, this would be about as far as they're gonna go, like based on previous episodes and all that sort of shit. Uh, And also, when you think about it, right? So we are approaching the end of volume two. Now that might sound shocking to people who are anime only, because you might hear that and be like, "What the fuck? We're approaching the end of volume two? Like, how the fuck is that happening already? Right? Like, how short is volume two?" But I'd like to point something out. Episode one was volume one, and that was essentially 3 or 4 episodes packed into one in terms of length, and then boom, right? We had that whole last thing. The next episode, because I don't think it's going to be this episode. I really don't think it's going to be this episode. But the next episode is probably going to end the volume. And that is essentially episode 2, 3, 4, which is this one, and then 5. That's 4 episodes as well. So, like, it makes sense that that would be, the end to it and everything. What's more shocking to me is this actually means the third volume in terms of episodes, like in terms of what goes on there, is actually going to cover essentially the end of the core. I am very surprised by the idea of that. That's probably the case, right? Because the third volume is short, right? That's something I would note is the third volume of this arc is short. It goes by in no time, right? Because a lot of it, I won't go into it, but a lot of it does make sense for it to be short with the way it is and everything. And it's probably going to be tackled, episode 6, 7, 8, boom, there we go, right? It tackled like that. Um, like I don't doubt that idea because it is the thing of like, yeah, if these are 4 episodes, it makes sense for that to only be 3 because it is on the shorter side, and we don't have to be as focused on the dialogue heavy stuff. Obviously, important things should be still in there, but it is the thing of like it is very dialogue heavy in terms of that stuff. If there's stuff that you can cut corners there, just because, might as well, right? Um, so that is exciting because I originally thought when this was going to release that the third volume would only be half, right? There's a moment that happens at the halfway point or something like that. I thought it was going to be that, and then it would be like, cut to black, here's the ending, wait for core two, right? Maybe a teaser into core two, something like that. Not really a teaser, but you know what I mean, like kind of setting up that it's going to happen. Um, and that could still happen. I don't doubt the idea that that could still happen, but it is interesting that we are actually going to cover the third volume, and that excites me a lot because that means the next core in February is going to tackle probably the best backstory I've ever seen in a series for either an episode or 2 episodes. And in terms of length, it is longer than like Amelia's backstory stuff essentially, but I don't think it will be the same amount because Amelia's backstory is different on how it's handled, right? It's kind of jumping back and forth, not only between what's going on in the real world, but also there. And then on top of that fact, that also has Amelia and Echidna talking. So even though this backstory that we're going to get at the end is way longer, it is the thing of, to be fair, this is also different in regards to that sort of thing where it's like, well, this jumps all over the place. It makes sense that they have to put in a lot more there, whereas the backstory we're getting later, probably not covering it nearly as much. Anyways, I had a lot just to say there. I'm excited for this episode. I saw that Capella was hand drawn. I am so fucking excited to see that. But with that said, uh, let's start this up. Let's get these on screen. Oh boy, here we go. I am kind of curious if this episode has the reveal or if it's an episode in the like third volume sort of stuff. It might be. But all right, let me make sure I'm tabbed in. And we do this on 3, 2, 1, go. This is loud. I forgot because I raised the volume last time. I'm just gonna turn it down. We are jumping ahead, wow. Makes sense though. I also didn't remember them. Yeah, fuck, dude. Also, they're showing the opening credits here, which makes me assume that they might be skipping the opening. Oh, they are absolutely skipping the. I absolutely love. This is another thing about Garth's character arc that I love. Is the fact that, dude, the voice acting. I love this character arc for him of just wanting to be the strongest and just trying to fight them. And then Mimi knows like, no, we can't. We literally can't. We will lose. Right. Oh, that was sick. We cats have no limit. Oh, this is being tackled now. This was okay, this was probably in the light novel and I didn't know. No, I don't know. No, because the illustration's in the third volume. So yeah, so this is something from the third volume, and I guess they're tackling it now. Which makes sense. This is when it happens, but that's really interesting. I got a little bit of goosebumps seeing that because it's just like, oh shit. That also means that volume 3 will actually have less. So that means episodes 6, 7, and 8 will cover less in that regard. It is interesting to see them jump around with this. I never really considered that this character. I mean, we don't really know about her, but like this character they're referring to and all this would be a character that would be around Wilhelm's sort of era. Oh, you can see the, yeah, that's a good detail. Yeah, you can see the blood. I love that they foreshadow it immediately with this. Like you could see it visually. Cause they mention it in the actual light novel and web novel. Like you can tell something happened, but now you can see it, and that's awesome. There's the second broadcast I was talking about. Yeah, I thought it was supposed to happen earlier, but I guess yeah, it makes sense for it to be now. I mean, I was pretty sure it was supposed to happen earlier because Super is supposed to hear it. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Her making fun of him while oh, and they captured the illustration perfectly. Dude, I'm so happy. I'm so Capella making fun of him that whole time while he's just apologizing is oh, that's so good. I'm so glad that happens at the same exact time. Because you can't really do that in a novel necessarily. That's hard to do. The fact is, alright. She puts it on the broadcast. Flies. I just realized that's flies. Oh my god. Dude. Dude, this makes me so happy. This makes me so fucking happy. Oh my god. This is adapted like so well. I know there's probably stuff that's gonna get cut out and everything, but like ah. So the weird thing was skipping some of the stuff with Kiritaka, which in some aspects I don't like Kiritaka, but from a plot standpoint, it is strange to skip over him a bit because it's like him talking here, people might not be fully familiar with him, whereas you're supposed to learn more about him with episode one. Oh, that looks sick, dude. Also, that now makes me think about something from way later, like from a later arc. Not gonna go into obviously, but it makes me think about something from a later arc, and it's like, damn, this is oh, Garf. Um, this feels real similar, you know, to the people who know. Dude, this is so. I have so much I want to say, and it's like it's tough because I'm just trying to keep focusing. Ah, okay, so not a spoiler because it's supposed to happen here, but I'm curious if they show the hybrid form design that was in concept art and that was implied to be there in the actual stuff. Mm. Oh shit, here it comes. That is less cinematic than I thought, because they imply in the novel she jumps into the air and then comes down. Ooh, yeah, this is where they talk about it. Okay. That was also shortened super hard. That fight isn't long originally, but that fight lasts a bit. I'm a tiny bit disappointed we didn't get to see too much with that fight. Ooh, excuse me. Because yeah, obviously the big thing is they have to fight then run away. But like, there's a little bit more that happens there. And like I said, there's this hybrid sort of form that Garfield takes on in that fight. Again, not really a spoiler, but it's like they do imply it as like he's taking control of the power, but still remaining small in frame. And sadly, I guess we don't get to see it there, which does make me hope that the outfit I had talked about on Twitter like a year or two ago will still be seen. I'm really hoping it will be seen. Oh, there it is. Give me a wide shot of them walking. Come on. This is like one of the coolest illustrations in the actual novel is all of them walking. Because that is some straight up like actual One Piece sort of shit. Something I'm not gonna necessarily say later down the line, but I'm gonna partially mention regarding him with one of the later volumes, and it's just something I've now realized. I mean, not specifically now, but I realized it the other day, and I was like, huh, you know, yeah, I'm already 13 minutes, yes. So we are definitely not getting to the end of the volume, but we are going to get to a point where it's probably going to stop right before. Mm. Best friends and they wish to deny it. Or at least Subaru, anyways. I like that they show her fixing her hair. That's nice. It is cool because it's like, I mean, obviously it's like it's something, one would do in battle, but it also feels like, yeah, part of her old self tying it when she goes into battle. A little disappointed that they run. Just a little. I wish we could have this shot of like all of them like marching over. That would be extra good. Oh, that's yeah. Hmm. Good shot of that. The sound design here is real nice. Oh, and there's the shot I saw in the trailer that I enjoyed. And then of course he's gonna go up against, yep. Yeah. Oh. I like this. I like the music. I like the sound design. Action looks fantastic. This is good. We're so fucking back. And also, oh, there it is. Dude, that just like the leg and then boom. Oh, and now, yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, it's so good that they drew her. Oh, this was such a damn good VA choice. Oh my god. Oh, fuck, dude. That, there was so much emotion in that just, huh? Oh, also the expression on her is perfect. No complaints. Also, that looks beautiful. No complaints on how that was handled. That felt exactly like how I had read it in the web novel. And then, again, phenomenal voice acting. And then, yeah. Oh, they actually showed the gore on her. Oh, wow. That's really good. This proves what I mean. Yeah, they are not holding back when they don't need to. Dude. Dude. I am actually, I keep saying it. I'm so happy with how they adapted her. This is so good. She actually feels like such a scumbag. Because that is why I enjoy Capella so much, is she is a scumbag villain who you want to watch die. And it only gets better as it goes on, some of the stuff in the next arc. Cool. Yeah, there it is. The thing is, I saw the ending. I think they are actually just going to end with Roy, aren't they? Yeah. Here he comes. And, oh, oh, that was good. That was a good flash, and it even like goes by like that. That's awesome. Oh, I love the effect they did for that. That is so good. Yeah, yeah. Okay, they are just straight up ending. I figured as much, and we now get to hear the ending again, which I'm happy about. I don't know what to say, man, because it's like partially. I mentioned the stuff with Garfield and all that, how I wish there was a little bit more there, right? Like with the fight. But then there's that stuff with Capella where I'm like, I legitimately think this was adapted perfectly. I have zero complaints about that. That's not even like a bias thing. I have Garfield higher, right? I have Garfield higher in terms of my tier list. That said, both are in my top 10, but like, it's still the thing of Garfield is way higher. Um, but dude, they did Capella so much justice there. That was so damn good, and I'm happy. And the expressions on her too, because this is why I'm so glad that they didn't resort to CGI for her. Not to say CGI can't be good, but like I am glad they didn't because I'm just seeing this ending again. I love these visuals so much. Um, but like the fact that they gave her so much expression with the eyebrows and just like when Subaru's talking to her and all this, and it's just like, man, I am I'm really curious in regards to her if they will go over some details later on, or if they're just gonna leave that to the break time stuff. I hope it's not left to the break time stuff. I was wondering if they were gonna do this. Remember what I said about volume 3 and how it was gonna probably cut down on some stuff? Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised they're doing this now. Very interesting to end it with that, but yeah. Uh, this is interesting. I'm gonna be honest. This is really interesting that they are covering some of what happens in Volume 3 now, right? It makes sense because, yes, absolutely all these events kind of happen in this, like, sort of diamond in terms of a timeline where it's like all, they all start at the top. They go down here where they all have alternating paths with what they're doing, but they're all at the same time, right? And then we go back down. Um, so it makes sense. Let me stop this. I need to actually restart it because I'm gonna watch Bleach shortly after this. Fucking one of the episodes I was looking forward to Bleach, and I totally forgot to even watch it this weekend. Maybe not totally forgot. I was busy with stuff. What? Um, yeah, I don't know, man. This episode is so damn good. Like, this makes me so excited. I am legitimately so excited for Arc 6 now. Because if White Fox can just keep this up, right? This is all I'm asking is if we can just keep this up. I am cool if this takes multiple years, right, to actually get to Arc 6. Like if it takes 2 years or something. I know there's the point that everybody's made of like, yeah, we are probably getting Arc 6 directly after this because they're gonna have a stage and they might announce it, they might tease it, you know. But teasing doesn't necessarily mean we're getting it immediately, right? That's something to point out. Um, Immediate example I can think of in regards to that, Baki, right? The the continuation of that and that sort of stuff, and what is essentially Son of Ogre, which is like the finale to the series. It keeps going, but that is the finale to the story arc of Baki. Um, that sort of thing got teased and then was actually being done like a year or two later in terms of when it was airing. Same goes for the second half, right? The second half was teased, then a year or two later, they actually dropped it. Um, and I feel like Arc 6, I'm totally cool if it's the same way, if they tease it and then 2 years from now, some shit, we get it, right? Something like that. I know people would be like, but I don't want to wait. But it's like, but if we can keep this quality, if we can keep this sort of thing going on, like it doesn't have to be adapted like this because I think, if I'm being real, Arc 5 being adapted like this is perfect. It's very smart for keeping timelines in check. Like in terms of, each character and what's going on with them. Um, but it is a thing of like it makes sense for it to be like this because there's multiple things happening in the city, right? There are multiple things going on. So it makes sense that they jump around a bit and go, hey, let's take from the next volume a little bit, put it here. We'll just do that now so that people know and then we'll continue later, right? Ooh, excuse me. But like I don't think Arc 6 will be the same way, right? I think Arc 6 will be completely linear in terms of that. It's just going to be, yeah, we're just going to follow the events because why would we go around that in any way, right? The only thing I could think of is there's a backstory in there that you could argue they could show earlier with Arc 6, but I don't think so because if we're being honest, well, actually, I guess there's two backstories, and one of them they could show earlier, but it's because of the backstory that it is and all this sort of stuff. The other one, I don't think they physically can because of plot relevance, because of what happens to create to start that backstory. So I don't think they could do that with Arc 6. I think Arc 6 will just be straight up linear, and then the backstory towards like the end of it, they might possibly just be like, okay, we could show that a little bit earlier. They might. I don't know. We'll see. Right. I don't necessarily think they have to do that. It's just a thing of they could. Um, right. But I was saying, uh, so if we can just if White Fox can keep up this quality and they can keep going with this, right? We can keep getting this beautiful adaptation of all this sort of stuff. Fuck, I'm now realizing Arc 6 is gonna have something in there, like a voice in there. And it's gonna make people realize something a whole lot faster than novel readers did. I'm now realizing that's going to take no time at all to notice. Um, but if we can keep this up for Arc 6 and this can just, beautiful animation, beautiful pacing with it, but not taking out too much and all this sort of shit, and we can just keep going with that, that is perfect, right? I like, even though I had some minor, like very minor complaints about some of the stuff in there, like I wish the Garfield fight stuff was a little bit longer. It is a thing of like, I don't necessarily think it needs to be absolutely, because it's something I always note of anime adaptations. They're not perfect, right? It is something that I always point out to people is anime adaptations are not going to be perfect. You're not going to get your perfect adaptation of this series and have everything in there. Even for a manga, you can't physically cram everything in there. The only series that I can think of that really tries to do that a lot, where they just capture everything in there, is stuff like One Piece and everything. Problem with stuff like One Piece is that also equates to a chapter per episode, right? And it's like, it's great that they try to get everything in there, but then sometimes it feels like, well, now we're really scrunching it together to this point that it kind of makes it annoying to watch because the pacing of it is slow, right? And that sucks sometimes. The biggest thing I can think of is like the sumo thing that everybody points out. That stuff goes on for way too long. Um, but if we can just keep this up overall, voice acting, beautiful animation, barely anything cut out, but if it is cut out, it's just to make it more cut to the chase sort of thing, and like all the important information is still in there. Obviously, beautiful music, and I think that's just gonna stay the same way regardless. All this sort of shit, if everything just fully remains consistent here, I will be so happy. I might fucking cry when I see Arc 6 animated. It might just get me. Um, I feel like they won't wait long for Arc 6 because, listen, everybody's talking about this and having an absolute blast with this, don't get me wrong. But I think they do have incentive for Arc 6 just because everybody hypes it up, among other reasons, that, you know, would help them out. But, like, let me take a drink before I continue. Ah, alright. But, like, ah, I'm excited to see so much more of this and everything. And like I said, it's so cool that like this, right? Like this whole thing is in here. Uh the part with Felt was in there. Where was it? Like the halfway point of the episode? Maybe it was earlier. Was it earlier? How early was the Felt stuff was very early. Okay, fair enough. But like the stuff with Felt, this, like the fact that they are covering all of this now just goes to show that yeah, like we are still getting all of this, right? But we're getting it earlier now. So later, it's like it can focus even more on some of those scenes. That's actually really cool. It's really cool to start that now, right? Because it's like, damn, all right, we're gonna be in for a treat for the final few episodes. Like, holy shit. Um, and again, this also means like the huge news for the next core because the next core is then just going to be the final two volumes of Arc 5, which is awesome, right? Fuck, I'm excited. I am looking forward to a lot of the big fights that are going to happen, especially in those final two volumes and everything. I think these are going to be done really damn well, and I think that's partially why they're tackling it now, right? Is they know that there are fights ahead because this is something I'll note. I don't know if I noted it early on. I'll just note it for people who might be anime only. Uh, this arc is very heavily fight related, right? It has a lot of plot stuff in there, but it is very focused on fights as well, right? This feels like I'm gonna say it's like it feels like a proper Shonen Jump sort of like arc sort of thing. I mean, I know you could just say Shonen in general, but I feel like Jump's the most common stuff where that sort of thing happens. Um, because like other sort of stuff that sometimes has some variety in there and all that sort of shit. Not to say Jump doesn't. Jump obviously does as well. It's just a thing. Um, but it's like this is a very like Jump esque arc where it's like there is a lot of fighting in there, and I'm by no means saying it is solely that, right? It is just a thing of like there's a lot of plot, there's a lot of big info and twists and all this sort of shit, and then there is also just a lot of fighting going on, like more so than any other arc, right? The only thing I can think of that would rival it is arcs 7 and 8. And the problem with arc 7 and 8 in that regard is those are just long ass arcs. Like those, I don't even know what the anime adaptation for those arcs is going to be like because those have to be long, right? This has to be like when that comes around, that has to be I almost feel like 25 episodes for both, and that's like, I don't know. You know, obviously, like it would be like a core split sort of thing, hopefully. But it's like it's the thing of just that would just have to be 25 episodes. Maybe not even for both because that might not even cover enough. It might have to be like 30. Um, that is just a long ass arc because a lot of shit happens in that. Uh, which is like I think is the thing is everybody's curious on how they're gonna handle that when they get there because it's like that's just a massive arc. Feels uncomfortable that Regulus is staring at me like this, especially after the whole Virgin talk. Um, but yeah, like that one's a little more complicated in that regard. But this is a very fight focused arc, so I think them covering this stuff now is very helpful because that means that later on, when we have the final two volumes, we are going to get some really good action. Like I feel like the animation is going to go crazy with those volumes, right? In terms of episodes and all that. So I am heavily looking forward to those. Uh, I'm curious to see, you know, everything that's going to go on and all that sort of shit. This is going to be very interesting. Again, this has been consistently good. I have barely had any complaints, and this is the crazy thing is like when it comes to Arc 4, right? I've rewatched Arc 4 and I sat there right after already reading it and I was just like, man, I wish this was better, right? Because animation of Arc 4 does drop a bit in quality. Not even a bit, it does drop pretty heavily in some areas. And then actual plot of Arc 4, I in a sense I almost want to apologize to anime onlys, right? Even though I'm not you know responsible for any of this and all this sort of shit. But I you know in a sense I would almost want to solely because Arc 4's adaptation cuts out so much shit there that it's like it actually makes some plot stuff confusing sometimes. By all means, still a really strong arc, right? It is still an arc I would give a 10 in terms of, you know, watching the adaptation. That's what I did. I gave it a 10. It is a thing that, yeah, rewatching it, there are problems here, right? There are 100% problems with how they adapted it. I do think, though, by itself, it is still really good, right? It is so like that's kind of the thing that's kind of I even saw a tweet like mentioning this sort of thing of like it's crazy that Arc 4 does so much with its adaptation where it kind of fucks over the original like material of that stuff and yet somehow it is still a 10 out of 10, right? It is still like I know this is great, right? This is a fun ass watch because honestly if you watch it without any context of the novels and stuff like that, it's fucking great, right? It is fantastic. I can say that for a fact. I loved Arc 4 regardless of that shit, right? When I reread it and then rewatched it, I was like, okay, yeah, there are problems here, but it's like, but it's the thing of you don't notice, right? Because it's like, it's that good that it's like, I mean, they're probably just leaving out details for the sake of mystery, you know, we'll find out later. And then you read it and you find out, oh no, they were supposed to talk about that right now. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but this, it's like, I have had no complaints overall. I've had very small stuff. That's it, right? And that's crazy because this time I have read it, right? This time I've read the series and I know what's in there and I enjoy this shit. Dude, I'm thinking about that Capella scene in there again. When she just like puts everybody, oh, she puts all that shit on the actual broadcast and then you hear that's so good. That's so well done. That had me so excited for the next episode because it's like, oh man, the sound effects for that and everything. I'm also not surprised that dragon sound effects there are none. It's just her talking, right? Because I did see people mentioning that of just like some concern of like, oh, you know, we don't know what Capella's gonna sound like when you know like big old dragon. You know, they might just do noises and stuff like that. Because I noticed with Garfield, they kind of played tiger noises when his arms were transforming, and it's like cool from a certain design standpoint. A little odd from others because he's not fully transforming, right? So it's a little odd to play in there. Um, it implies that a roar is actually being made as he transforms with his arms only, right? Um, which in some aspects could be cool, right? Like I said, it's like in some ways that actually it's like a cool concept. It's just a thing of I don't think that was intentional, right? Um, But it's not surprising that, yeah, something like Capella, they weren't gonna do noises and stuff like that. It was going to be, yeah, it's just it's talking, right? This is the Dragon Ball like Great Ape, where it's just them standing there, open mouth, and it's me, right? Like that sort of thing, like Vegeta or Baby Vegeta sitting there, like I shall wipe out the Saiyan race, and it's just like that sort of thing, right? So it doesn't surprise me that they did the same thing for Capella, where it's just mouth open and then it's just talk, right? That's it. Um, so fantastic episode. I am very excited for next week because I know what that's going to cover. I know what that's going to cover next week, so I am so excited because oh, we get to the good shit. We get to the part that had me. Next week's episode, right? I was already hooked by this point. Next week's episode hooked me so hard because I can't even talk about it just yet, right? I don't want to spoil people who might not know and everything. But like next week's episode just got me so good that I'm just like I'm ready. Right? I'm ready to read this whole last series, and that's what I did. I am now caught up and excited for the next Arc 9 phase to begin. With that said, that's it for this reaction. This was a bit long because I wanted to talk about some stuff, but that's fine. I mean, that's partially why I do these videos, right? I'm not reacting to just sit here and be like, haha, nice one. Oh, right. I like to actually talk and give my thoughts, and as a result, our ending segments get to be like 15 or 20 minutes, that sort of thing. But, so, great episode. I gotta get to the Bleach episode and, do the same shit there. Very excited for that one as well. I saw a lot of original screenshots on my Twitter feed, which I am very excited to see. But with that said, we're going to end that off here. So thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a great night. Very excited for next week. Oh boy. But yeah, take care. Have a great night. Great day. Whatever it may be for you. I don't know. Different time zones. Those exist. And with that said, I will see you all next week. Take care, peeps.